Hey everybody, welcome back to the Carl Talks Football YouTube channel. If you're new around here, please do consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Really helps me out with growth and so on and so forth. And without further ado, let's get stuck into this game week's predictions. It's match week 3 of the Premier League season, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So the first game of the weekend on Friday night is Chelsea versus Luton Town. Chelsea losing to West Ham last time out, and Luton haven't played since the opening day of the season because their stadium's still being rebuilt to comply with Premier League regulations. And I've got to be honest, I'm expecting a Chelsea win by any means necessary, and I'm going for a 3-0, which given our lack of goals so far this season might surprise a few people. But honestly, it's a newly promoted side, and if Chelsea can't get over the line in this game, then I've got some big worries for the season. I feel like the team's got a bit of gelling to do still, but we should still, even not completely gelled, be able to beat a team like Luton. Opening kickoff on the Saturday, we've got Bournemouth versus Spurs, and I was going to originally go for Spurs to win this game, probably 2 or 3-0, but given that Maddison is apparently out for the game, I think it might be a bit closer than expected. I don't think Spurs were actually that good against Man United last week. United missed some really easy chances. Rashford just needed to dink the keeper. Bruno missed a free header in the box. And then Spurs just beat him in the second half. It could have gone either way, that game. And I think it's a bit premature to think, oh, Spurs look great, they've beat Man United at home. I'm not convinced personally. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in that game, which might surprise a few people. But Bournemouth weren't that bad against Liverpool. They did take the lead, but then eventually Liverpool's quality sort of showed through in the end. But yeah, no, I'm going for a 1-1. Next up, we've got Arsenal versus Fulham, and I can't see this being anything other than an Arsenal win. Fulham have obviously lost their main striker in Mitrovic, who's gone to Saudi Arabia. Arsenal, I don't think have looked that convincing so far this season, but I don't think anybody apart from really Man City have, to be honest, and Newcastle in their opening game. So yeah, going for a standard 2-0 Arsenal win over Fulham. Then we've got Brentford versus Palace, and I'd give Brentford the slight edge in this game if a team's going to win it. But personally, I think this game will finish 1-1. I don't think there's sort of an abundance of goals in either team. Obviously, Brentford missing Ivan Toney, and I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to be there in January when he's allowed to come back and play after his gambling ban ends. I feel like he's going to get a move to a bigger team, maybe a Chelsea or an Arsenal or something like that. Maybe even Man United, who knows. But yeah, I see this game being a 1-1 draw, to be honest. Although if a team is going to win it and maybe nick a 2-1, then I'd say it would be Brentford. Next up is Everton versus Wolves, and to be honest, I can't see a goal in this game. Neither team can score a goal to save their life. I mean, Everton have got Malpay up front, and Wolves have got Cunha up front, who, while he does look a very good technical player, he's never been particularly prolific. So I see this game being a 0-0. It's got 0-0 written all over it, although watch it turn into a 3-3 thriller, probably, no my luck. Then we've got Man United versus Forest. Conventional wisdom would go for Man United to win this game, which is why I'm going for a 2-0. Mason Mount's out injured for a couple of games, and I honestly expect that to let Ten Hag bring another player in, maybe a McTominay, something like that, to help out Casemiro in the midfield and bring a bit more balance to their team, because I feel like that's been their Achilles heel so far this season. They've got Bruno and Mount, who both want to do the same thing, get forward, get forward, get forward, and they've just left Casemiro just stranded in the middle of the pitch on his own. And as good as Casemiro is, he can't be everywhere at once. No wonder their midfield's been getting run through. So yeah, if they restore a bit more balance to their team, then I think maybe they've got a chance at winning this game quite comfortably at Old Trafford, to be honest. Although this is probably a game that I wouldn't rule out an upset in. Maybe Forest nick a 1-0 if Man United are as profligate as they were against Spurs, with Bruno missing free headers and Rashford failing to dink the keeper. So we'll see. Maybe we might finally see the appearance of their new star striker, Rasmus Højlund, although might get injured again. Who knows? He's one for the future, definitely, but how well he'll do in the Premier League, how well he'll adapt. Can he play with Rashford, who is very much a goal-focused winger rather than a creative player? I don't know, to be honest, but I think this game, say, comfortable 2-0 win for Man United. If they don't win this game, I think Ten Hag's in a bit of trouble, to be honest. Up next is Brighton versus West Ham. Can only see this being a comfortable 2-0 Brighton win, to be honest, with the likes of Matoma playing very well so far this season. Estupinian as well, been a revelation at fullback. He was very good at the end of last season. And West Ham, while they did beat Chelsea 3-1 last season, and I'm saying this with my biased hat on, quite literally, I don't think they were that good, to be honest. They got a goal from a set piece, which now they've brought Ward-Prowse in, you know. You'd expect that with the height of some of their players in the box and that sort of thing. But then their goal that came in the second half from Antonio was a result of some shocking Chelsea defending that I don't think Brighton will let Antonio have a chance like that if he plays the game. And then their third goal was just a rash penalty in the 95th minute. So, yes, they beat Chelsea. Do I think they're going to do particularly well this season? Honestly, no. I've still got West Ham firmly pinned to the bottom half of the table. But who knows? I could be wrong. I thought Chelsea were going to beat them comfortably last week, and that didn't happen. So we'll see. But I think if Brighton just go in there and play their football and don't let West Ham play to their strengths, I think Brighton will comfortably win this game. Next up, Burnley versus Aston Villa. I've gone for Villa to win this 2-1. I think Villa have been a bit overhyped by some people this season, to be honest, saying, oh, they're going to push for the Champions League. Yeah, they did well at the back end of last season, but I feel like the injury to their captain, Mings, is, or one of their certainly more sort of inspirational or vocal figures in the form of Mings, is going to hinder them a bit. And they've got some good players, but I think the humbling they got in the first game of the season from Newcastle will certainly bring them back down to earth a bit, and they'll have to they'll be a bit more cautious, I think, going into games now, but I could be wrong. But Emery's done a good job at Villa since he came in, and it could go either way. Do I think they're going to be like threatening for a Champions League place? No. Do I see them pushing for sort of Conference Europa League again? Quite possibly. They could well be in that bracket. But yeah, I've gone for a 2-1 Villa win over Burnley. Burnley, who of course played some good football in the Championship last season under Vincent Kompany, but I feel like they haven't got the players to play that kind of football consistently in the Premier League. And I feel like just more technical teams will outdo them and score goals against them. But I think they'll stay up, definitely. I mean, it's just weird watching Burnley play good football after years of sort of Sean Dyche long ball, simple football that kept them in the division for definitely over 5 years. So yeah, no, I think they'll stay in the league this season, but I don't see them I see them hovering around like maybe 15th. And yeah, I don't think they'll beat Villa. Well, they could do. They are at home, so that home advantage might turn things in their favour. Next up is Sheffield United versus Man City. Can't see anything other than a typical Man City demolition job in this game. Haaland didn't score last game, so the robot will probably be annoyed and have exterminate protocols turned on. I think Phil Foden against Newcastle last week looked really good. He really showed that he can fill the void caused by De Bruyne's injury. So I'm expecting Man City to win this game quite comfortably, at least 3-0, I'd say. Could be more, but I definitely think they're going to win this. I don't give Sheffield United much hope. The only thing that gives me maybe a slight inclination towards them is, of course, they are at home. And the final game of the weekend, which I think is the hardest one to call of all of them, is Newcastle versus Liverpool at St James's Park. Now, Liverpool didn't look great against Chelsea. They didn't look particularly great against Bournemouth, despite the scoreline. And I just feel like Newcastle, especially at home, they have a more complete-looking team. They've got better balance in their midfield. I mean, they've actually got a midfield. You know, with the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and all that sort of thing. They've got obviously Trippier whipping crosses into Isak and Callum Wilson from the wings. They're the winger they signed from Everton, who was linked to Chelsea, who's now Anthony Gordon. He's looked pretty good since he signed for them. Got player of the tournament, the under-21s, at the start of the summer. So I think Newcastle will shade this game. I've gone for Newcastle 2-1. Liverpool, I just think if they don't sign, I think they need two midfielders, to be honest. I know they've signed the midfielder from the Bundesliga, the Japanese international, Endo, I think it is. And he's better than what they've got to play in deep midfield position, but they definitely need at least one more midfielder, maybe two. I don't know what they were thinking, letting Jordan Henderson and Fabinho leave in the same window without getting a reinforcement in first. I feel like that's a bit of transfer madness. And they've shown their hand in the Caicedo battle with Chelsea, where they've said they've been skint all summer and then all of a sudden have produced £110 million out of nowhere as an offer to Brighton. So I feel like clubs are going to see them coming now. And I feel like they'll probably sign a midfielder, but whoever they sign, it won't be who they wanted as their first choice. We know that already. And I think they're going to pay it through the absolute nose for them. McAllister, of course, can play in this game as well. He got his red card overturned in midweek. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that game. But I've gone for a Newcastle 2-1. Okay, everyone, that's my predictions for match week 3 of the Premier League. Thank you very much for watching this video, and next week we'll see if I got any of these predictions right. Probably got some horrendous choices in there, like the Everton versus Wolves result. I imagine that'll be a goal fest now. I've said it's going to be a 0-0. Probably Man City will lose to Sheffield United. Luton will batter Chelsea 3-0. So yeah, be interested to see what happens. So yes, thank you for watching. Please do consider liking, sharing and subscribing, and let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this weekend's fixtures. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Take care.